Yeah, business wins of the week. I got to hear a couple wins here. What's going on in your guys' world? Who's got something good to say? You know this is coming up, so let's hear it. Any good things happening, even personally, is great. In the business, raise your hand or dance on the camera, or just unmute yourself and let's hear it.
I got one.
Brent, the savior of the silence. Let's hear it.
Yes. Okay, so we were approached by a large countertop company called Cambria, and we sold our first countertop. We're a flooring store. We do tile and hard surface flooring, and we were approached by a big conglomerate countertop company, and we basically just took them up on their sales process, and I did a little simple Facebook post, simply like shaking the hands with a Cambria member. Everyone recognizes the name. And through that Facebook post, we had a bite and we sold our first countertop. It was, like a $6,000 job. For our first job, we did a minimal markup, but we made $1,000 by simply going to a job. We measure it up, and then we present that information to Cambria, and they take it from there. They even do all the installs. So it's like we networked with a great company. They do the rest of the install, warranties, and everything, and we just made an easy $1,000, and we'll profit more from it in the future. But we started a new endeavor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Woo.
Come on.
Easy
Brent.
$1,000. That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really
That's a win.
And expanding services is great. One step closer to being the full-blown remodeling company that you want to be.
Sure.
But I do have a win as well. I don't know if he's here, but Mr. Musa from Blessings Hardwood Flooring, he implemented our hiring system and liked everything about it. So we put together our job post, and in 30 days, he got 30 candidates to apply for flooring installers and hired a couple of them in a month, which is crazy results. So that's awesome. Woo!
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Wow.
I know that Court's on this call here, but if you're installing a water heater or something and you know can't brag about this, that's fine. I'll do it. But I wanted to brag about Court of Lundberg Plumbing here. He started with just no Google business listing. You all remember that time, a few years ago where you had to get that postcard and get the 5-digit code and give it to your coach, or maybe do it yourself and all that. And just the time it took to finally make something out of that. Well, he got his first one of those just a few weeks ago, maybe about 5 or 6 weeks ago. And he's already got that listing. I'm not going to take any credit for this other than giving him the Google review link that he gave to everybody else. But he's got that listing to over 80 reviews in just a few weeks.
Wow.
Not only
Did you run
that,
an email campaign?
No email campaign. I said I would take credit where I could, but I can't do anything here. And the other thing, he's also gotten a number of calls from Google already. Of course, with 80 reviews, that's going to happen. He had a few calls he couldn't get to, or for whatever there's specific services he doesn't provide yet, but he was already able to book a call from there. But that's the kind of tenacity that's really going to get you those results. So I just wanted to brag on Court for a second on there.
Yeah, tenacity.
Kind of impressive though. Woo! All right. Well, if there's any other wins here, you can shout it out now because I'm moving on. All right, guys, what's on the agenda for today? So this is the teaching moment. I'm going to go through that, and we're going to talk about firing 101. And this can be kind of an intimidating thing. Some people love firing, some hate it. We're going to get into that. Bryce here, he's going to go over hiring, I guess, 102.
Right.
And you got to fire the right people, and you got to hire the right people. And then he's going to talk about specific things you can start doing now. And then as usual, if you have specific questions that come up, even aside from what we're currently talking about, you can bring that up again at the end of the call, and we can cover it and answer your questions. But let's get into this. So firing employees. Who's passionately enjoys firing somebody? I can just see just a hand raised if that's you, if you just enjoy firing someone.
Any Celebrity Apprentice fans in here?
I don't know that many people enjoy it. I think Tim likes, no, just kidding. Our boss is a very nice person and he does not enjoy firing, but it's not a bad thing if you enjoy firing. You just got to fire the right person. So that's okay. Now, who kind of firing kind of makes you cringe a little bit, but you know you got to do what you got to do. Is that kind of? I think that tends to be most people, or somewhere in between there. So what I want to go through is just not get all into the depth of firing just yet. I want to make sure we frame this the right way, and that's no one will build a great business without first having a great team in place. So you've got to have a great business, or you've got to have a great team in place in order to get that business you've always wanted, in order to scale this business beyond you. So your role as a leader in your business is to do three main things, and that's going to be attract the right people, those key leaders in your business who are going to help get that load off your back. It's going to be developing those leaders. Just because you have the right person doesn't mean that it's all going to work out. You got to develop them, you got to train them. And then thirdly, this is where I want to focus, is it's your job to get rid of the people who aren't a good fit. That's everything. If you have people who are not supposed to be there, they're taking the spot of the person who needs to be there, the spot of that key leader. So it's just as important to fire the right people as it is to hire the right people. And that's what we're going to talk more about hiring here in a minute. But anybody play chess by chance? Oh my, come on. That was literally the only reason I put that photo there. I just wanted to ask that question. I'm a fun chess guy here, so just add me on chess.com. All right. So once again, no one builds a great business without a great team. So you've got to do that. You've got to attract the right people, develop the right people, and then fire the right people. So let's talk about firing a little bit. Why do most business owners put off firing? Why do they delay firing? Why do they hate firing? Well, before I list off some reasons that I've encountered with my clients personally, I want to hear from a few of you guys. Why have you delayed firing anyway, or why have you done firing but kind of cringe while you do it? What are some of the roadblocks and fears in your mind when firing comes up? Just anybody.
Can you guys hear me?
I hear you, Andy.
Usually we're already overtaxed with things we have to do and whatever, and you're already short on people to do the jobs that you need to do, and so you just have that fear you'll let these people go, and it's just going to be more on your plate to handle. But over the last few people that we've actually let go of, I gotta say, once they're actually gone, that fear of the unknown is probably the bigger thing you're worried about. Once they're actually gone, you still make things work, and a lot of times, just like you said there, it does make room for the right person to kind of step into place and somebody you could actually work with.
Absolutely, that's huge. You feel like there's not even time to focus on and dealing with this, just tolerating this person. It's like, I can't even think about getting rid of that person right now. Once they're gone, we'll talk more about that. But it's yeah, no, absolutely. Who can relate to what Andy just said?
I literally have a story that I talked with a guy last week. He's a general contractor in Indiana. His name's Joel Bailey. He's owns New Dynamics Construction. Had to get rid of not only an employee in his business, but one of his leaders. And ultimately, he did. He thought that he was going to be super stressed, spread thin, and then the whole team did better without the guy there. He actually literally was dragging the team down, and that's a possibility too.
That's huge. And that's man, you guys are stealing my points and I love it because it makes me feel better. I'm like, I'm saying good things and people are agreeing with this already. I'm going to go through some of the reasons that I hear with my clients. First off, confrontation is it's just uncomfortable for most people. You know, whether you know you have to say something or you're just that person who can go head on into something uncomfortable, it's still uncomfortable. And it brings me to a quote that I think about a lot in that situation by Tim Ferriss. He says, a person's success in life can usually be measured by the number of uncomfortable conversations he or she is willing to have. A person's success in life can usually be measured by the number of uncomfortable conversations he or she is willing to have. So if you want to hear that again, or you want that quote, Bryce will write it down there for you. But that's huge. That's so important. If you're not willing to have those uncomfortable moments, you're never going to get beyond those uncomfortable moments. So that's one of the key reasons I hear people delay hiring. Another one is you just don't have someone lined up to replace them. Or worse, if you fire them, just like Andy said, it's going to be difficult to run the business, or you're going to have to personally fill them in, you know, or they're going to put a lot of extra work on your plate. Another one is, you know, their skills, their knowledge, they're indispensable. You can't get rid of them. They're better than everybody else. And many times, I'd like to say this indispensability is just a mirage. It's not real. And you find that many times you can actually fire them and operate fine without them. Andy just stole the words out of my mouth. And this is, you know, and if this is really true, and if they really are indispensable, you know, start training someone else in that role immediately. There's no reason why you can't stay ahead of that. Now, if you're in that tough spot right now, then, you know, just start it today. Let's make sure this never happens again. But I'd like to challenge that. I'd like to really ask yourself, how indispensable are they really? The next one is, well, you're hoping that one day this employee is going to get better at what they're doing. They're going to stop making that mistake. This is especially true and especially difficult if this employee is a nice person, you know, and they're just not good at their job. So, you know, that's why I try to be nice, you know, to my boss. So he's like, at least I can maybe get away with some stuff. No, it's not true, but it's so easy to hope, well, they're going to get better. They're really nice, or maybe they're not nice and you're just hoping they're going to get better. And you know, it's easy sometimes to blame yourself for a reason like this if it's not working, as if you didn't equip them well enough, you didn't give them enough chances, you didn't train them well enough. The other reason, and the last reason I want to go through, is sometimes you feel like you didn't give them a chance. And that's why it's important. We're going to get more into this, but it's important to have a write-up system and to confront them immediately when something comes up. And you want to document violations, have discussions, and just have a real true gauge with employees all the time. And this, you shouldn't have to feel this way. Here's a fantastic quote on hiring by Elon Musk. And he talks about when he was at PayPal. He says, one lesson I learned at PayPal is to fire people faster. That sounds awful, but I think if someone's not working out, it's best to part ways sooner rather than later. It's a mistake to try too hard to make something work that really couldn't work. And all he's saying here is, you know, these specific reasons. Well, I didn't give them a chance. Well, they're indispensable, and well, they're going to get better one day. It's like, guys, no. It's let's just part ways sooner. It's better for both of us. Okay. And this is so important. In fact, I'll even keep this at the top of some of my clients' agendas, this quote here, just to remind you that I agree it's difficult. But sometimes you just got to keep that at the top of your head. So I'm going to go through a couple of reasons, you know, why you should fire bad employees sooner rather than later, and make up your mind quickly. First off, they're destroying morale. Hard-working, motivated employees like working around other hard-working, motivated employees. That's why I like working at Redmond Growth. I got people like Bryce, Harley, Nicole, and if I didn't say your name, I'm sorry, but they're hardworking, they're motivated, we inspire each other, we're working hard. If I have someone who's not working hard beside me, who's just dragging their feet, counting down the time they get to leave the office, that it's not fun. It destroys morale. So the next thing is, we've already mentioned this, they hinder performance. They hinder the performance of the team. We find that sometimes when this person's gone, people actually perform better. Thirdly, they're costing you money. Well, hindering performance, I guess, is already costing you money, but they're sometimes they're making mistakes that just, guys, we've given you 6 shots at not making this mistake anymore, and you're still making this mistake. Or if they're a salesperson, if they have a real poor conversion rate, you're missing out on opportunities. That's costing you money. And then here's the 4th reason why you should fire someone rather than later, sooner rather than later, is a massive weight will lift off of your shoulders. Who can describe to me the feeling you had when the toxic employee finally got fired? Who can just one word, or 2 words if you're really feeling it? I'm gonna wait.
And I'm going to call this guy out because he's here in the room and isn't here in the room often. Mr. Zach Potts from Roofing and Siding Smith. I remember a story from you where you let go of a leader of one of your crews, and your team actually worked more efficiently and met the KPIs that you were putting on them. Is that correct?
Yes, I think we're mixing 2 stories. We got rid of a leader and let somebody else step up, and they've taken that on well. And then very recently, we had a guy quit and another guy get fired within a week of each other, who we weren't making it easy on the one who quit because he wasn't doing what he was supposed to. And yeah, we for the first time, they hit their KPIs the next week.
Wow.
Beautiful. And it's because of the toxic employee was gone, right? Just the person was a bad fit.
Yep, they complained, and their cost was dragging the KPI goals down. We couldn't hit our dollar goals because we were paying them too much to be a pain.
That's huge. Paying them to be a pain. That's write that down, Zach Potts. So when and how to fire an employee. So this is kind of, okay, I got to fire him, figure that out really quick. And, but how do I go about this? Or when's really a good role to follow? And so here are a few principles and guidelines to follow as it relates just to when you should fire and just let someone go. Generally, if you feel you should let someone go, the person probably should go. That's just a very broad rule. But if you have a feeling like this person's just not really a good fit, it's probably for a reason. Here's what I want to go through first. It shouldn't be a surprise to the employee when you fire them. What I mean by that is, at this point, when you know you should fire them, you've already had a number of conversations with them. Real candidly, you've already had maybe a couple write-ups, and when if you're firing them and it's a major surprise to them, then maybe there was a number of conversations that you avoided and you didn't have. And I'm not talking about that. Wait, you want to fire me, but I'm amazing and just that super unreasonable person. I'm talking about just a real honest surprise. Maybe that we could have had a few conversations to avoid this. Leading up to it, or at least document that a little bit better. The next thing is, you've got to address concerns with an employee, number 1, candidly and promptly with the employee. So when someone's doing something they shouldn't be doing, don't wait 48 hours to address it. Address it immediately. Be honest to them, explain to them, why what they're doing is damaging to the company. And the longer you let something sit, and you finally explain it to them, it's kind of a weird conversation. Hey, by the way, Joe, I saw you 2 weeks ago. You did this a little wrong. why are you telling me this now? I don't even remember the moment. It's just weird. It doesn't look like you're serious about that standard. The next thing is you've got to use a write-up system. And I'm gonna send one to the coaches here. I mean, we have some, but this is gonna be just set up here for you. But if you don't have a write-up system, this will have a list of infractions on it. We have a good template for this, as a list of fireable offenses. And also, I mean, you just have to document the write-up. So you have a date, signature, and so they know exactly what the offenses are, the violations are. They sign off on it. We read it. We understand it. We have questions we'll ask you. But this is going to be really important here. So if you don't have this, please ask your coach, and they will send you one pretty quickly.
What I'd
Here's
add
an
with
example of
this
one.
is that it makes it indiscriminate. If you have this write-up policy, all the feelings that are involved, all the emotions that are involved are removed, right? If you know what's happening to get to that point, it's not a matter of this guy doesn't like me. No, it's, here's the clear pathway and this is what's happened. So it
Here you
takes that
go.
emotion side out of it.
If you don't have something like this, please ask your coach, and they will make sure you use promo code Jonathan is amazing. All right, no, it's free. So that's firing 101 for you. Has anybody ever used some kind of a write-up system, or wish they had one? Be real honest with me. Just what's a quick story or situation where you really wish you had one, and it just, because everybody else needs to hear it, because maybe a lot of you don't have one right now and you're not keeping up with it. But what's just a bad story where you wish you had one?
Well, I've got one years ago before I met you guys. I fired a guy for drinking beer with customer.
Oh my.
On a job site. And the unemployment office called me to get his information, and I said, calling me, he was drinking on site, and they said the reason why doesn't matter, we need to document how much he's going to be owed. And eventually it turns out he didn't deserve unemployment. But that was my first time learning, I mean, you got to have a system in place, otherwise the pains are going to win in the short term. So yeah.
Yeah, especially for unemployment too, because so often they do not side a lot of times with the business owner for those issues. And unfortunately, we have to cover our tracks and almost like be a legal team and make sure, hey, we have 4 write-ups about this issue and he signed it there with these dates. So come on, side with me, please.
Yep.
But that's a great story, Zach.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, we've talked about firing 101. The next thing that logically follows, obviously, is we got to hire people. We got to build this team that Jonathan's been talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and take over here. There we go. Boom. Okay, guys. So again, it's important to not only fire the people so that you can build the right team, but we also need to hire. And this is what we're getting into right now. But a question that I actually genuinely want to start with is, it's important to think about this too. What pain points have you guys experienced with hiring? What has been the thing that stood in your way, the thing that's been the most difficult? What frustrates you? What are you guys feeling? Talk to me.
I think right now we're in my industry with construction is the starter, the what do you call it? The workers or the labor that I'm trying to find that know what they're doing, the quality work, they're getting expensive and more expensive by the day. And the people that are saying that they have all those qualities or what do you call it, abilities, they're asking for an enormous amount of money per day, you know, and when you go out and you tell them yes, and then you go out and see their work, it's just poor quality work.
Hmm.
So hard to find good workers.
Definitely. Yeah, anybody else? Come on, I know you guys are upset with hiring. I hear it so much right
I'm
now,
gonna say
especially in
it's-
the summer.
I'm gonna say it's just extremely hard to find people with skill, but I've came to a conclusion. I think you need to almost start off with younger people and actually teach them what you want. Seems to be maybe a better way to go about this.
Wow. Andy, you're the man. Jonathan, you gave some of Jonathan's points. You got some of mine here coming too. I heard someone else chiming in.
Another issue I've been encountering lately is just people not willing to work, and they've been wanting to get paid so much without having any experience.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the issue in my area, at least.
Yeah, and that's a big thing right now. So you guys are all kind of hovering around the same thing. People that are not quality, asking for way too much, costs for labor are just increasing. That's kind of a right now problem. It's kind of an all the time problem too. So we'll talk about that. But one guy who I don't think has been able to hop into the call, Ryan Witten, is a guy that I've been working with for about a year. And one of the other pain points that I see with people all the time, one of the big pain points is that we either don't trust people, we've been burned by people leaving or doing terrible things as they left. And also we expect to find the perfect candidate right from the get-go. And Andy, you kind of took my point a little bit, so I'll harp on that. But in some cases, it's so much easier. In a lot of cases, it's so much easier to train up the team that you need rather than finding these perfect guys. And Ryan can testify to this. I've been working with him for about a year and a half now. And in that time, he has literally re-employed his entire company twice. Not because he fired people and not because they were terrible fits, but because weird circumstances happened where, I mean, literally weird circumstances where a guy just kind of disappeared off the map from everyone in his life for a couple of days and essentially had to re-employ his entire company. He thought these guys were going to be, long-term fits, that they were going to be some of the people that would be leaders in the company and that he could hand it off to one day. Literally a guy that he had planned to be his number two that he would, sell the business to when he was ready to retire. But it happened twice to him. And from Ryan's story, it's important that you just have to keep at it with hiring. It's super discouraging. I know that it's so discouraging to keep looking out for people and you're not finding them. So we just keep at it and we build systems that allow us to train up people faster. You're not going to find the right team the first time that you hire, maybe the second time, maybe even the third time. There are not perfect candidates. And so this is part of why we do the hiring system the way that we do, and I'm about to get into it in a second here. But ultimately, traditional methods, which I have a problem with traditional anyways, is that they suck. If you feel like you're going to do something a certain way because it's the way it's always been done, how does that let you set apart? How does that let you do something different and do something better than it's been done before? So traditional methods, they suck, and here's why. You don't have that kind of time. If you want to individually interview a lot of candidates, one, you may not have that many candidates to interview. Two, most people are not worth your time. And the reason being that a lot of people lie. I think the stat is somewhere around 85% of people lie on their resumes or they lie in the interview process. Huge stat. So they're not worth your time. Add to that the fact that how many of you have scheduled interviews, confirmed the day before, and yet lo and behold, the next day they don't show up. You've blocked out this hour. Yeah, absolutely. All the time. You've blocked out this hour and now no one's there. So a lot of people don't show up. And here's a kind of hidden reason that I think is really important too. The best people aren't always looking for a job when you're hiring. So if you're actively trying to hire just whenever you need it, you put yourself in a tough spot here. And this is part of why we've set up our system the way we have. You know, if you keep your line always out there, you're going to get the best ones when they come along. So our whole hiring system is built around two purposes only, and it's all about you as the business owner. We want to, one, save your time, protect your time. You are the most valuable employee in your company. A lot of people will say, oh, I want to go out and work the job myself because, you know, I cost the least. I cannot pay myself something. That's a lie. You're the most valuable employee in your company. That costs you the most whenever you're out in the field. So one, saving your time, and two, to find the best people quickly. So trust us on this. We're not telling you a system that's going to take hours and hours and hours of involvement. We're doing this to save you time and to find good people, the best people quickly. So meat and potatoes here. How do we actually do it? Ultimately, if we were to sum up the hiring system in one word or one phrase, it'd be cast the net wide and filter fast. Cast the net wide, filter fast. So simply, we just want to run the process. And I'm not going to go too in depth into this right now. For the sake of time, there's more important things I want to cover with you guys. But we've got a document that is literally our hiring system laid out in detail. These stats that I was talking about, they're here. What are the benefits? Why is it important? Literally the steps listed out in detail, and a bunch of links in here that are helpful hiring documents. We got templates for job descriptions, how you should respond to candidates, what you should be looking for when candidates show up, even how to run an interview. All this stuff is on a document. A lot of you may see this and be reminded, oh yeah, I've looked at that before. If you haven't touched it in a long time, talk to your coach about it again, get it back out, dust off the system and start running it. It works. We know, we've proven this hundreds of times over. So I just wanted to briefly touch on that, but run the process, and your involvement might be an hour a week, because we're going to consolidate the time that you spend in the interview process. Now, dire circumstances change things a little bit, but that's something that you'll work through with your coach, depending on how urgent your need is. Yeah.
Quick note, Darren said, assume you'll be sending us the stock. So yeah, as usual, well, not as usual, you shouldn't assume that. So that's my bad. But yeah, if you want a document, always ask your coach. We may forget to say that sometimes, but yes, I will send that to you, Darren. And then if you want that document, please ask your coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of you may already have it. If we've talked about the hiring system with you before, 100% chance it's on your agenda somewhere. You can Control F, type in hiring, you'll find it. So ultimately, the system, the process is this: post your job description, auto respond to invite people to a group interview. We're not looking at resumes. We're not wasting that time, let alone people that don't show up for interview time slots. There's all the time that you've probably spent looking over the resume to even offer them that time slot. Stop doing that. We'll talk more about that in a second. But post your job description, auto respond, do the group interview, invite them out to a shadow day. This is where it's most important. Felipe, you were talking about guys that you get on board and turns out their work is trash. They don't do great quality at all. We want to know if they're worth it before we bring them on the payroll. A great way of doing that is having a shadow day. It's a normal thing to do. So that's part of the process. And then at that point, offer the people that you like a job. This is the time when you read resumes, check references, do background checks, anybody that you want to hire. And this is important.
I got a quick question. I'm sorry.
Go for it. You're good.
Can you go back one slide real quick, please?
Yeah.
You mentioned about sometimes the people you hire are not on the market right now, right?
Sure.
So when you offer them, or when you call them in, and you're trying to offer them a shadow day or something like that, do you offer some sort of compensation? Do you just, are they willing to do it, or if they push back, say, no, I mean, I gotta go back to, I mean, there's so many scenarios out there, but what do you do in cases like that?
Yeah, great question. And I'm glad you asked. I didn't even think to cover that part of it. Yeah, so personal experience, what we do, and we're actually hiring right now ourselves because we follow our own, we take our own medicine. is we actually don't pay people for the time that they're here. It's a part of the interview process, but we also don't make them do direct labor. So depends on what you're structuring your shadow day like. If you want to have them actually put their skills to the test, totally fine just to cash them out for the day. You know, let them know ahead of time, hey, you know, regular hourly rate, we'll pay you for the time that you're here. You only want to have them out for a half day. You'll have a pretty good idea within a couple hours if they're a good fit, if it's a good fit with the company, everything like that. So you can cash them out for the time that they've spent. But for a lot of people, it's just if they're there for the interview, that's part of the process. Cool. Ultimately, guys, with the system that we're talking about here, because of all the stuff we've talked about already, we want to hire character and train skill. Andy talked about this a little bit, but this is important. This guy, Peter Schultz, I don't know if any of you know who he is, but he's the former CEO of Porsche. You know, Porsche, the high-end, super skilled, maybe called craftsmanship kind of automobiles. Really high skilled, really important, very particular. He says that they're gonna hire character first and then train skill. Same thing with Redmond Growth. We know that our systems are in such a good spot that we can hire somebody without the experience and build them up to do what we need them to do. But we can't train them to show up on time. We can't train them to care about their job. We can train them how to do their job. So hire character, train skill. A lot of you maybe feel this, but maybe haven't said it so explicitly, and this is huge. So I gave a broad overview of the hiring system. For a lot of you guys, hiring may be more urgent right now. So I want to give some speed enhancements to kind of move things along a little bit faster. You know, you may be saying, Bryce, I just can't get people to talk to. I can't get people to interview. Okay, let's do some enhancements here. So first thing, guys, when you do have applicants, we have to call them immediately. Just like you would do with a really big deal, right? If this is important, if this is the limiting factor holding back your entire business, we got to call them immediately. And some tough love here. If you aren't willing to drop everything and give that person a call whenever they apply, it's not because you're being, a subservient to them or anything like that. Do you really want it? Do you really need this person? If you do, it's the biggest limiting factor. Call them immediately. Treat them like the biggest, juiciest lead you've gotten because you need that. It's going to unlock thousands of dollars in monthly revenue for you if you have this other person on board, if the leads are already there. So call people immediately. Second thing, the group interview can take some time. If you're waiting week to week, it's really great for if you're maybe not actively hiring, you build up your pipeline over time. One of the guys I worked with, he called it, loading your shotgun. You've always got the bullets in the shotgun, people that you can talk to. If you didn't hire them then, you can talk to them in a couple of weeks when that position does open up. And that's how you find the best people too. But we can kind of skip that step. If you need to hire somebody tomorrow or yesterday, then we have a script and you can talk to your coach about it. But we have a script to do just a quick phone screen interview. Are they a decent person? And then invite them directly to the shadow day. The shadow day is really the most important thing in making sure that you can evaluate if they've got the right character, the right skill before you actually bring them on payroll. So screen them over the phone, invite them to shadow. Felipe, you didn't ask this question, but this is kind of similar to what you were asking too. It's actually a red flag if people try to negotiate pay before we've even given them an offer or before they've shown or proven what they're worth. There's a guy that I was working with, his name is Old Town Plumbing. Old Town Plumbing is the name of his business in Huntsville, Alabama. His name is escaping me right now, which I feel horrible for. But he was really liking this one guy that he had talked to him about applying, but he wanted something crazy that really didn't make sense financially for us as we were talking about it. We had no idea if this guy was even worth what he was charging. He was trying to negotiate with this guy on the salary before even seeing if he was worth it. We wasted weeks and months talking about this guy, ended up not even hiring him. How much time was wasted in that? So it's a red flag. If people want to negotiate before they've even proven they'll be there, red flag. Okay, other enhancement. If you're, again, telling me that you can't get people to even apply, make your job description beautiful. And there's a couple of simple things. I know beauty may not be the first thing you think of when you're talking about a job description, but there's a couple really quick, simple things we can do. Easy, add your logo. Easy. All it is just putting that picture there. If you have ever gone on a job listing site and you scroll down the page, you'll see ones that just have, you know, that gray box there. You have a logo, put it up there. You look more official, presentable, all that stuff. As well, if you really need to hire somebody, if you're not kind of passively doing the group interview week to week to keep your shotgun loaded, to keep your pipeline full, sponsor your job post. It really makes a difference. I know it sucks. I know it sucks paying money for something you're not really guaranteed anything from, but it gets you at the top of the list so that when people are applying, you're catching them. So we got to sponsor the job post to get you up towards the top. Other ways that we can get you towards the top too. The reason we like Indeed is because you can post in multiple locations. Sponsor in your main area, post it in multiple locations. And here's a big thing, really easy, really simple. It doesn't cost you literally anything, but so many people overlook it. Repost your job description weekly. It makes it fresh, puts it up at the top of the list. And don't just pause and unpause the job listing. You can do that, but don't. It doesn't help you to do that. Literally close it down, open up a fresh one so that you show up at the top. Simple, easy, get your job description up there at the top. And here's the big one, also related to your job post, but it's important, and I'm separating it intentionally. Offering a sign-on bonus. When I say that, who immediately says no? Red flags, no, I'm not doing that. I know a lot of people, it's a big thing to think about, especially right now with what all of you guys shared about at the beginning. We can't find good people that are actually worth that money. Why would I offer a sign-on bonus in addition to paying them more than I think that they're worth? And I also, I know that I have paired with the referral bonus on there. I'll talk about that in a second, but offering a sign-on bonus is something that your competitors may be doing. And it's something that we can offer that really makes your job description attractive, that we can do so in a way that's protecting your company. A safe rule of thumb, if you're hiring somebody and that person can unlock for you $25,000 a month in revenue just by doing their job because you can't get to these leads right now, totally safe to offer that person a $2,500 bonus as a sign-on if they're worth it. So the important thing with this, guys, is you define the fine print later. And what I mean by later is you don't put the fine print on the job post. You just say what the amount is, and that's not being deceitful or anything like that. You're just saying this is the sign-on bonus because you will pay that out if they're worth it. What you need to do though with that fine print is get longevity, get commitment from that person. You're willing to pay for people that are going to do a good job if they're worth it. All of you are. I know this. I've talked to so many of you. You're willing to do it. They just got to be worth it. So you do that in defining the longevity as part of a contingency. A great example of this, guys. So easy way to do this, Spot On Plumbing. They're guys that we work with locally here in Tulsa. On their jobs post, they've got a $10,000 sign-on bonus. I'll take that. I'd love an extra 10 grand. Absolutely. I'm going to at least apply, see what that's about. What they do with that is after people have come in, they lay out the actual process. If they like the person, if they're going to give them an offer, that sign-on bonus is a part of it. They pay out in installments over the course of 1 year. $10,000, if they're generating $25,000 a month, $250,000 in revenue for your company, $10,000 is small potatoes. It's worth it. So They pay out installments over the course of a year. Every 3 months, they get paid another $2,500 every quarter. And what happens with that too is part of the offer is if they quit before that time period, they pay a certain portion of it back. Now, this isn't just something that, we've cooked up, within ourselves. You don't believe me? Fortune 50 companies all around the world, and I can tell you this from experience and friends that I've grown up with and what they got as sign-on bonuses, stuff like that, myself and other opportunities. Google, Boeing, Apple, PepsiCo, I think Phillips 66, ExxonMobil. Heck, guys, even the Army does this. They'll pay for 4 years of your college, but what do they ask in return? 4 years of service. So this is totally normal, and this is totally a part of it. So I know that there's a lot of pushback from people on sign-on bonuses, but it could be worth it. The other thing to think about, guys, if your competitors are offering this, they're getting to talk to people. They're able to hire, they're able to keep moving forward. And so I know that there's a reason for your hesitation, but you can protect yourself. If you don't, the $10,000 thing doesn't have to be it. You could do a regular $2,500 bonus that's paid out after the first month, or paid out in installments over the first month. First week they get $500, second week they get $600, last week they get the remainder, something like that. You can pay it out over time.
If I may chime in, Bryce. So let's remind ourselves that we're the business owners in this situation. So that means throughout the whole process, you are in control of anything that goes on here. So we might have hesitations about putting out extra generous benefits like sign-on bonuses or vacation time or paid work days or whatever. But, we're acknowledging that the hiring market is tough. And if you want really great people that are A players, we got to do our very best to have ourselves stand out and look like an awesome company to work for. But we also are the business owners. And if they end up coming in and their first month, even less, is just horrible, like they came in and did a great shadow and everything looked fine, and then they started not showing up on time, and they started, being rude to your other employees and customers. Remember Elon Musk's feedback. Get them out of there. You're the business owner. You have control. It's not like you hire someone and you're guaranteed to keep them for a year. You want them to be loyal and stick around, but don't keep a bad fit just because you've sold them on, trying to be here for a long time. It's their fault that they were a bad fit. So you move on and you keep trying to share these benefits with everybody. And over time, you will get the good people to stick on. So I know that that's a hiccup for people, the cost of doing this stuff, but it's more costly not to find people. And it's also more costly to, keep people on less benefits that aren't doing well. So anyways.
No, it's a huge point, Harley. Yeah, it costs you more to not do this because of what you're losing out on. And this brings up an important point too that I wanted to make. You protect yourself with contingencies. You are the business owner. You are in control. Don't be held slave to your business or slave by people that don't even work for you yet. Again, if you're negotiating salary starting out of somebody you think is probably going to be a good fit, but you're not sure of it, they're asking for a lot, you don't know if they're worth it, you don't have to start them at that price point. Talk to them about, hey, you want to start at 26 an hour, we'll get you to 26 an hour and more because we got, incentive bonuses in our structure. But what we need to start you at for the first month is 22. We like you. We're going to bump you up to 24 the next month, and then ultimately up to 26, what you're asking for. And then there's more after that. What you could also do is say, hey, after that third month, we'll give you an extra bonus that compensates the difference between 22 an hour, 24 an hour for those previous months because you're worth it. You've now had a person for 3 months that's been really worth it. So be creative in thinking about how you can offer this and protect your company. And know that it's not weird. It's not outlandish. This is what the biggest companies in the world are doing, and this is why they're successful. So Couple of quick things, and then I want to make sure we have plenty of time to ask questions. Start now. What's important? Stop wasting your time reading resumes before you want to actually hire somebody. Just get them there. Talk to them. They may have skills. Just because they have the right skill set on the resume, which might be a lie already, doesn't mean that they're going to be a good fit. We can train skills to do the job if they've got the character, ultimately if they're teachable. Close and repost your job description weekly. Super simple. Add your logo. Make your job description beautiful, enticing. And then, guys, we can determine a reasonable sign-on bonus. You don't have to do this. This isn't something that you have to do. This is an opportunity for you to do it, to make a really quick enhancement to your job post that'll make a difference. And if you're saying, hey, this has been great, but I'm not actively hiring right now. Great. Perfect time to start the hiring system. If you invite somebody out to shadow and you don't need to hire somebody right there, just candidly tell them, hey, we like you, but we don't have a spot right now. Our company is growing fast. So there's a chance that we'll call you in a couple of weeks to see if you still have an opening, or still if you're still open to the opportunity. And just like Jonathan said, guys, in order to scale, you've got to buy back your time. There is a cost to this. You got to buy back your time, and that's ultimately often through people. So I know we covered a lot here. We covered a lot here. I know that there's a lot of questions. You may have them in the chat. It may need to be scheduling a focus call with your coach afterwards. I know that there's a big topic, especially right now as we're heading into the summer. So for what we got time for, what questions do people have? I haven't been looking at the chat, so there might be some there already.
I have a question to ask.
Yeah.
Won't it cause friction between your current employees and the new hire if you're giving the new hire a sign-on bonus? How would you guys go about that?
That's a great question. And one of the things I forgot, I said I would come back to the referral bonus as well. There's a way that you can give your guys other incentives to help you in the hiring process too. If you offer a referral bonus for them internally for people that they would hire. That's one way to kind of even the scales a little bit. Jonathan, Harley, anything else?
Yeah, I don't know that, a good employee, one that's there to really for the sake of the team, and they've been there for a while, the chances are they're probably making as much or more money than that new hire anyway. But if they're just more highly skilled and they're going to be making more money, that's just that's kind of the way it is. I don't know that you can do a whole lot of that. That's kind of up to the employee, but like Bryce said, just a little referral bonus here and there can also help with that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point, actually, Rudy. What you mentioned is if there's good people at your company that are there working for you and your benefits, they're going to understand what you have to do and what you need to do to bring people on. Furthermore, you're in control. So if they come in early and they're not a good fit, then you're not giving the full incentive, because they're a bad employee. But if you got 8 players on your team, you're able to add another one. They love having that extra help there to help grow the company. And if they're really peeved at you about giving a sign-on bonus to new people, especially because everyone knows what's going on in the world with hiring, then that may be a check on them for their character as a person, to really be like, hey, what is it really the money that's the big issue here? Like, is that such a hiccup for you? What's going on here? We talked about like previous stuff in calls, like weekly meetings and check-ins with the team members to make sure to give them forewarning of checking on their attitude, making sure they're staying engaged in the workplace. Because as the research shows, according to one of the polls out there, that 2/3 of all employees are disengaged in the workplace. So you do those check-ins to make sure they really are engaged and they're for the company. And so I don't know if is this feedback helping you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
One quick note on that as well is, as an employee, if there's a lack of employees, the employees feel it and they're stressed out and they're taking on more work as well. So that's also the cost to make sure they can feel less stressed out and not have to work overtime if they don't want to. Any other questions? Because we have 60 seconds and this is going to be one heck of a quick answer. All right. Well, guys, if you have additional questions, anything else, just know that these group calls, something you think about later, you can always bring it back at these group calls or bring it up with your coach. But we love hearing your questions because these are questions that we're not thinking about sometimes that someone else can really benefit from.
Hey, if we want to show some of our managers these videos, are these recorded where we can get to them?
Yes, they are. In fact, you're going to get each month following Monday, you're going to get a link to the last call, and then I will also send you a document where you have access to all the calls.
Yeah, in fact, Andy, in the chat, I also linked the spreadsheet for the group call inventory of all the previous group coaching calls to check out. So yeah, they're available. Yeah.
And then Darren, I have 30 seconds for you. What can I help
Hold
you
on,
with?
I might have missed it. Is there a platform that you recommend advertising on?
I have a clue.
Yeah, so Darren, we would time after time we see our clients finding the people that they end up hiring through Indeed, because you can post in multiple surrounding cities and it posts on a lot of sites. But really it's the casting that wide, filter fast, post as many as you can. So Indeed, ZipRecruiter is kind of expensive. It's not our favorite. Facebook jobs can be free. Craigslist sometimes actually has some good people that fall through, but Indeed is normally our primary.
Yeah, everywhere, the more the merrier, I think is the main principle.
Right.
That's what's most important. And then Facebook has a free posting, so at least do that at the very minimum. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna count down. Unmute.
Hang on, Jonathan. Jerome, I'll follow up with you later. I know you got a question. I'll call you in a little bit.
Okay.
Thanks, Bryce. All right, that's gonna be 1, 2, 3. We're gonna say growth on 3. 1,
Unmute your
2,
mics. Hold
3.
on.
Growth!
Growth!
Come on, that's what I'm talking about.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thank you.
You guys take care.
See you later.
You can rely on the old